Alright my friends, my name is Jack Billings and I'm the CEO and founder of shedknives, and today I'm going to be going into shop safety, specifically shop safety for knife shops, because this is a knife shop. So I'm going to show you guys some dangerous things I have in the shop that you guys need to be careful with, and really the takeaway at the end of the video will be how you can work safely, but how you can work effectively, because sometimes, actually usually, safety precautions and safety measures kind of get in the way of things, and I don't like stuff getting in the way, but I also like to keep all of my fingers and everything associated with me intact and not at the hospital. So with that said, let's get into the video. Alright, first things first, I'm going to be going over drill presses. In my shop, I have two drill presses. This one I've had the longest. This is one of the newer ones. Now, drill presses you got to be very, very careful with because they pack a lot of power and they are not forgiving. Let me show you. This is a rubber glove. And you might be wondering, Jack, well, obviously this is a rubber glove, but what does it have to do with drill presses? Well, when I make knives, I wear rubber gloves. That way it protects my hands from any grease, any lubricant, fiberglass, especially with the G10. I don't want that getting in my skin, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But rubber gloves, and just gloves in general, but specifically rubber gloves, can be very, very dangerous with drill presses. I've had a few minor, thankfully minor incidents with gloves and drill presses, and I'm about to show you why you gotta stop wearing gloves, or at least just be mindful of your rubber gloves around the drill presses. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this broomstick and I'm going to put this rubber glove on the broomstick because I'm not going to use this with my hand. Okay, so I've put the broomstick on the glove because I don't want to stick my hand in there. So let me show you what I mean by this. And just like that, that could be your hand. It could be really bad. It might sound a little dumb, but when you see just how powerful drill presses are, your hand could be wrapped right in there. Now, thankfully, for example, this one I've had my minor incidents on, where I go to clean off the drill bit and then boom, snags my glove. Now, I say thankfully it was this one because this one has a very kind of like loose belt, a weak motor, it's very old. So this one, it just stopped. Where if it was on the other one that I just demonstrated on, that thing would have pulled me in, and if I didn't hit the button, bang, would have been bad. So thankfully it hasn't happened on the big one, and I just mentioned the glove because a lot of people don't think about it. When I was in auto tech getting my ASC certification in high school, it was always said, never use gloves around the brake lathe. Never do it because it will pull you in, and especially a machine that large, that will definitely pull you in. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Okay, this one may be a little more obvious than others, but the bandsaw is another pretty dangerous one, and really the thing you're going to be most concerned with is your fingers, cutting your fingers. Same thing with a table saw. I also have a table saw in another room, but they basically do the same thing, cut stuff with a blade. This one just happens to have a circular blade that runs in a wire, pretty much, where table saw is a disc blade. So there's the difference, but this is my push stick. You can see all the different cuts and stuff in my push stick. This was intentional, but all these different cuts, this is because when I'm using my bandsaw, I put the push stick down and then I can be away from the blade and I can cut my material. So that way I'm not risking my fingers, I'm not risking cutting my hands, but I'm able to still cut stuff. So have a push stick, and specifically a dedicated push stick. This thing just hangs out on the bandsaw, so that way I don't lose it and I don't need to search for material, which will end up getting in the way of your process. And we don't want stuff, specifically safety, to get in the way We want it to work for us, and this works for me. It actually makes it a lot easier, to be honest. When I'm cutting my G10, it makes it a whole lot easier because I have different push points. So yeah, have a push stick. You don't want to cut your fingers or risk any of that, because knife makers especially really need their fingers. So get a push stick. And while I'm over here, buffers. This was probably the first thing I learned just how dangerous these can be. Buffers especially can pull you in, similar to the drill presses over there. So buffers, they like to grab things, they like to grab clothing. So not that I would be this far into my buffer, but buffers can grab your shirt string. It can grab different pieces of clothing. Same thing with your gloves. Gloves can be dangerous on here, but specifically knives, because if you're buffing knives, knives have like sharp points on them, like the spine. Buffers will grab onto the spine, so you gotta be careful of that. I haven't had any issues with this before, but I know quite a few people who have, so I just want to throw that one out there. Just while you're buffing, be mindful that your knife can be pulled in and it'll come back out the top, so be careful with that. Now, we went over the things that you can't really wear gloves for, or you should keep your hands away from, but the belt sander, I encourage you to wear gloves with, specifically because of how gritty the belts are. I encourage you to put on a pair of gloves. I generally use my rubber gloves with these. Not that it's going to give me a whole lot of protection. It really just helps keep the material off of my skin. But if you're getting used to belt sanders, you're getting used to a new setup, I encourage you, throw on a pair of gloves. They don't have to be crazy big and bulky. Just a nice pair of light gloves that you can use on this. And again, be careful with anything that spins. Anything that spins has a good chance of pulling you in somehow. And you don't want to be pulled in. You don't want to end up on live leak. Yeah, be careful with that one. And I keep saying be careful, be careful, be careful. I'm not wanting you to consistently think, oh, Jack said be careful. Oh, I got, you don't want to be nervous. Don't be nervous. Being nervous does not help in any regard at all. You just need to be mindful in a way. It should be like a secondary thought. Like, don't be stupid and then carry about your day, carry about your shop. So this one has served me very, very well. I've had a few minor cuts and just like, I guess, scratches on the belt sander, but again, my fault. You have to remember, all of these things, in my shop and in your shop, the majority of injuries are going to be user error. I said it, you gotta take responsibility. Most people, especially in today's society, do not want to take responsibility for very much. So I encourage you, just take responsibility. Everything I've gotten hurt in here from is me. Do I go suing people? No, because it was me. The machine didn't hurt anybody. The machine was just there. I turned it on, I got my hands in the way, I scratched myself on the belt sander. Belt sander didn't scratch me, I scratched myself on the belt sander. Was it an accident? Sure. I don't think anyone intentionally goes to get entrapped in a CNC machine, but sometimes it happens. So just, guys, take responsibility, think smart, don't do anything stupid. Sometimes accidents happen, sure, that's why we call them accidents. So just take some responsibility. That's my next tip, because you just have to remember, you are the one who turned the machine on, who plugged it in the wall. My Bader belt sander did not plug itself in the wall. That was me. Take responsibility. The next kind of obvious thing is going to be knives. Obviously, knives are dangerous, but we can make them less dangerous. I know quite a few knife makers who, get ready for this, work with sharp knives the majority of the process. Weird. Why would you do that? You're not going to be cutting anything with the knife you're working on while you're working on it. Doesn't make sense. So I used to do that because I was just used to other people doing it until I realized I don't need a sharp knife. So the majority of the process for my knife making, my knives are dull. So when I show off knives that are blanks, and some people think, oh, he doesn't sharpen them. Oh, they're not sharp. Correct. I do not sharpen them until I mail the knife, because I don't want to be cut. I don't want to drop this and have extreme fall damage from my knife. where if this just falls on my foot, sure, it could probably pierce me or stab me or hurt me some way with this point, but it could be a whole lot worse if they were sharp. So knife makers especially, if you are working with knives, which obviously you'd be a knife maker at that point, keep your knives dull until the very last possible step. Because sometimes you need sharp knives for other things, but keep the sharp knives in your pocket, keep your dull knives in your production line till the last step. Now I saved this kind of to the end because not everyone has a Kidex press, but Kidex can get very hot. For my system, I run 400 degrees. Now 400 is a little hot, no I'm kidding, it's actually not even close to 400 degrees. But anyways, 400 degrees is very, very hot. And the Kidex itself is very hot because obviously it was just touching this. So you gotta be careful with that one. I encourage cotton gloves with this. And also, I'm starting to realize you either need gloves or you should not wear gloves at all for certain processes. But anyways, this one, just mind the heat, be aware of it. I keep this on aluminum blocks simply because my Kidex press broke. I do so many Kidex sheaths that it broke. And I figured it still works, like just the mount thing broke. But anyways, just want to throw out the hot part. Maybe some of you guys use heat treat ovens. I send my knives to other people so they can deal with the heat. And I can deal with the heat of business and winning all the time. But if you have an indoor heat treat process, just again, mind the heat. The stove wash is very, very loud. So that means you need hearing protection. I got these at Harbor Freight for like $10 maybe. And yeah, get some good hearing protection. Also, I wear earbuds a lot. So yeah, I have some podcasts, some music, some whatever playing inside there. So that helps with the sound as well. But if you're not going to be doing that, throw on a pair of headphones. Your hearing, once it's damaged, I don't believe you can really get it back. Now, you can have like temporary hearing loss, like after a loud concert, for example, but constant loud noise, which shops are loud, air compressors are loud, anything loud, you gotta wear the earphones, you gotta wear headphones. There's also earplugs. I used to wear those a lot before any like music, earpod, any of that stuff. I would just use like the little foamy things you put in your ears. So those also work, but just something to protect your ears. Going back to my auto tech days, we always had to wear safety glasses. And when we first joined the program, my class had a very, and I mean very strict policy on safety glasses. And basically the policy was, if you miss your safety glasses for whatever amount of time, like if you are caught without your safety glasses on, you're done. You're cooked. Go away, come back the next day. It burnt into my mind so much where when I am working on anything in here, I better have some sort of eye protection on or I'm gonna have to kick myself out of the shop. So yeah, get these or a mask with a built-in set of safety glasses. So this is my respirator that I use. It's got the air filters in there on the sides, the correct air filters by the way, and then it also has the visor. This protects the entire face around here, and then the actual air filter part is in this area. It's like a little triangle pretty much. So this I really like. There are some other knife makers who absolutely hate these things because it's tough on their neck. And I'll be very honest with you guys, this absolutely kills your neck and it hurts. But what I did was I just kept this thing on as long as possible for about 4 weeks. I just like didn't take it off. I just lived with it on for like 4 weeks. Now, if you talk to my dad at Blade Show and you ask him about the first 4 weeks of me wearing this mask, he will probably tell you that all I really talked about in the complaining realm was my neck because it just hurt so bad from the weight of this just leaning down. Oh my goodness, it was terrible. But I built stronger neck muscles, so now it doesn't bother me. And I guess you just gotta have a little bit of pain for permanent gain. I guess that's just what it comes down to. So if you have a weak neck or you are not planning to build strong neck muscles, then do not get this. But if you're young, like me, and you grow muscle like crazy, then this is a really good match. Also, I want to mention my hat. I like to wear a hat. This one just kind of works for me. It was actually free, by the way. Liquamali sent me a bunch of stuff. But anyways, I like to wear the hat. And the hat is functional because I keep a towel like behind my neck. I like to protect my neck from the fiberglass. And the hat, I just kind of pinch the towel in the back. And also it keeps the fiberglass out of my hair for the most part. I mean, sure, I still get gritty, but it just keeps most of it away. So I just like to wear a hat. Also, I really got the idea for a hat when I was in the shed making knives. For those of you who don't know, I started out in a shed, hence the name Shedknives, and I had to cut a lot of stuff, and that involved sparks, that involved all sorts of just fire. And a hat definitely kept a lot of those sparks away from me and kept me not on fire most of the time. So get a hat. I encourage a hat. And if you don't need one, great, but just I encourage it. And the last one is proper attire. Right now, I am nowhere close to proper attire. I'm wearing Crocs, I'm wearing sweatpants, I have a sweatshirt on with strings and just loose clothing. I am definitely not an example right now of what to wear in the shop. However, I do have a bag of shop clothes that I bring with me every single day to the shop, and those shop clothes involve 2 cotton towels, 1 pair of military pants, a Ridge Cut work shirt. That's the brand, so if you want to go check those out, Ridge Cut, they are not a sponsor of the video. And yeah, Ridge Cut shirts, really nice. Got different arm pads and just stuff to keep you a little bit more protected with all the grit you endure in the knife shop. Can't forget the belt. Get a nice belt. A knife, kind of obvious. And last but very not least, a pair of work boots. If you're going to be dealing with a lot of heavier stuff, like if you're moving pieces of steel larger than a knife, I encourage steel toe boots. These are not steel toe boots simply because all the components I work with are very light, other than G10, but if that fell on my boots, then I'd be like, oh no, my toe. Just automatically heal. So if you're going to be working with big stuff on a regular basis, steel toe, but these work really nice. I also have speed laces. Speed laces just make everything easier. So that's why these have been working forever. I'm going to touch one more time on air filters. Every 30 days, I change my air filters. And that is because I value my lungs, I value my lung capacity, and I want to protect that. I've had a few tests done regarding my lungs, and I actually have very, very large lungs, which is kind of interesting because I believe I'm one of the only ones, if not the only one in my family, to have like crazy large lungs. So anyways, I want to protect that. And maybe I've been blessed with them for a reason, but I want to protect it because you only get one set of lungs. I'm not aware of any lung transplants. Maybe you could get one, but well, why not just avoid that and have healthy lungs so you don't need to deal with that? Bang, solution. So I change my respirator filters every 30 days, and I got to that number because I'm in the shop really 3 days per week. And approximately anywhere 8 to 12 hours per day. So we'll just say 10. So I'm in there 30 hours a week and multiply that by 30 days. And there are about 4 weeks in 30 days. So out of those 4 weeks, if I'm in there 3 days each and giving an average of 10 hours actually wearing the mask per time, then I'm going to be wearing that mask for about 128 hours. Maybe the mask filters are good for longer than that. I would assume so, but I just like to be careful, guys. And the reason why I just do not stop talking about respirators is because, I'll be honest, I have a genuine concern for my lung health in the long run of knife making Knife makers do not live a very long life, and the only reason why they're old knife makers is because they started later on in their lives, okay? I know quite a few knife makers who have passed away, who started making knives early on in their lives, and they died of lung cancer. I do not want to be part of that group. I value the work they've done, I value all the things they've done, but they did not protect their lungs as best as possible. And I want to be part of all the accomplishment and all that stuff, but I want to keep my lungs safe. When it comes to goals, and I'm talking to my friends about them, I always say, when I'm sitting on my super yacht, I do not want to be hooked to breathing tubes. I want to be able to enjoy the nice, fresh, salty air of the ocean. I want to be able to take a big, deep breath of the air around me and not the oxygen from the tubes I'm breathing in. So I value my lungs, especially as I just value my health in general, but change your filters, guys. Please, if you're a knife maker, change them out, because I do not want any of you to go lead a successful life, lead an amazing life of accomplishment, but have it cut short of comfort when you are dealing with lung issues and lung problems. And if you're really concerned about air and stuff, get an air quality test. I know in here, the air quality is actually pretty bad. So when I work, I open one of the doors here that's in the wall, and it lets air flow in and out of the shop. So I am very mindful about the air around me, because I know God has only given me one set of lungs, and I do not want to be looking for another set anytime in my life. So basically, to wrap that up, folks, I have one more thought on the air filters, and then you won't hear it until another video. Going back to the part about knife makers do not live long. Okay, I started making knives at 13 years old. I started with like a paper mask. That did not do much. It's better than what it could have been, but I understand that I started making knives young. I do not want to make knives for the rest of my life, like in the shop and stuff, and have it all gritty. I do not want to do that for the rest of my life. Does that mean I will sell my knife business and get rid of it completely? Probably not. I do want to keep the business. The whole reason why I started my knife business in the first place was because I wanted to run a business. And at 13 years old, it's kind of hard to buy a car dealership, kind of tough to invest into real estate, and it's very hard to get dividend earning stocks when you don't have any money. So the next best option for me at the time was start a knife business, and that's why I have Shed Knives. And like I said earlier in the video, Shed Knives is not sponsored by anybody. Shed Knives, I guess you could say, is a sponsor, because this whole thing is set up by Shed Knives. So if you want to support this, go to shedknives.com. I have a few knives left of the 2023 collection. If the 2024 models have already dropped by the time you're watching this, still, go to shedknives.com, check it out. I greatly appreciate you guys just looking at the knives. If you buy them, even better, but just the support, the appreciation you guys have for me is just crazy, and I absolutely love it. I'm very thankful for that, so thank you. But yeah, back to knife making and that whole thing. The reason why I work so much and just so hard at this is because I need to get out of like the air thing. I don't know why, but I just have this constant thought on my mind about air. Get to clean air. You have to get to clean air. You cannot be like in this for a long period of time. Maybe it's for a reason. I have no clue, but it's just kind of why I work so hard in the first place, is because I know I cannot like be like this forever. I need clean processes. Look at the CNC machine. That is a pretty clean process because it's going to be in a box and all contained and everything. And I have another one hooked up to vacuums, and so yeah, I'm pretty like conscious of the whole air thing. So guys, keep the filters clean, keep your life healthy, have healthy have healthy habits. Okay, I'm not gonna edit that one out. Have healthy habits, and yeah, I think that brings me to the end of the video, guys. I hope you guys learned something new. If I missed something in this shop safety video, I know I kind of just touched the high points, so I'm sure I missed something, but if I did, let me know in the comments so that way you can help someone else as well, and that way we can all be safe in our knife making shops together, or just in our shops in general, and we can make some awesome stuff. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate your support. It really means the world to me. If you guys like the video, go ahead and hit the like button, and I think it's kind of obvious by now. If you like knives, hit the subscribe, because that's what Shed Knives is all about. Alright, well, like I said, brings me to the end of the video. My name's Jack, I make knives. Here's a attire in action, by the way. But I make knives, and I'll see you in the next one.